Hello. I know we are all still adjusting to the stay-at-home order, so I wanted to get back into giving you more book recommendations and doing more reviews of books that I've read recently, things, again, I think that someone out there might like. So we are going to go into the second book of the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Myers, and this book is called Scarlet. So like in the first book, I think I may have forgotten to mention this in that video, but there are multiple protagonists. You kind of see the different perspectives. It's, again, repeated in this book. So we have Cinderback. Sorry, my cat just jumped up on the table. Okay, I'm going to need you to go down here. Alright, so we have Cinderback from the first book, and then we have the new character of Scarlet, and we also have Kai from the first book, and we have Carswell Thorne. So along with that, we also have another character who we don't really get to see inside his head, but he is a character, and the character's name is Wolf. So, this book, as you can probably tell a little bit from the titles of the characters, is a retelling of the fairy tale of the Little Red Riding Hood, but it has a little bit of a twist. A lot of bit of a twist. So, things that are similar between the two, the fairy tale and this book. We follow a main character, Little Red Riding Hood, and she is looking for her grandmother. And the other similarity is that there's a character called Wolf, and that is where the similarities end. So the differences are pretty much everything else in the book. So in the original fairy tale, the grandmother isn't missing, she is just at her house, and Little Red Riding Hood is going to bring her basket full of goodies. In this one, the grandmother is missing, and Scarlet spends the majority of the book looking for her grandmother. Another difference, the other character, Wolf, who interacts a lot with Scarlet, is not an animal. He is a person. And there is a romance that is growing between the two. It's not an insta-love situation. It's not like they see each other and immediately fall in love, but it is almost like an insta-friendship. They meet, and Wolf immediately knows he wants to take care of Scarlet. He wants to protect her, and as the book progresses, they do start to develop feelings for each other. And another thing that is different, the main character in the original fairy tale is a child, but in this book, she is actually in her late teens. She's 18. And Wolf is not an aggressive character. He is very sweet and shy and wants to be protective of Scarlet. And he is also a street fighter. And he has another character twist, but I don't want to give away any spoilers. But just know that there is more to Wolf than meets the eye. So moving on from that, I want to talk about some things that I liked and some things that I didn't like. But because, again, I want to end this on a positive note, I'm going to start with the things that I didn't like. It started out with the same kind of problems that the first book did, where it was really a slow burn kind of book. When I put the book down, I wasn't motivated to pick it back up. I didn't have that draw. It wasn't such an intense book that I felt like I needed to get to the next chapter. Another thing that I kind of had an issue with was the build up to finding the grandmother. I honestly wasn't that interested in finding her. I had some ideas of what I thought was going to happen, which that was one thing I did like. I'll get into that later. But the build up to finding the grandmother just felt like it dragged on a lot. I was less interested in that, more interested in everything else that was happening in the book. The multiple perspectives in this book I felt like could have been done better, but I think that mostly is just because Cinder became such an unlikable character in this book. I just was not a huge fan whenever we got to her perspective, so it just was less fun to follow her, as it wasn't as much fun as it was in the first book, I guess. She was just much more serious, less enjoyable. Things that I did like, though, I really, really liked the build-up of the relationship between Scarlet and Wolf, and I felt like it happened very naturally. It progressed from meeting and that initial kind of distrust between the two, but then slowly they become friends. Well, Wolf is like kind of her friend from the beginning, but she doesn't really trust him until later. But they slowly become friends, and then you see those feelings grow into something else, which is just, it's really nice. I'm not a huge fan of insta-love in books, so it's nice to see a relationship kind of progress naturally. Another thing that I really liked in this book, just Carswell Thorne as a character in general. He is a wonderful character. He's funny and he's smart, kind of. He's smart in certain things. He's smug, but in a really endearing way. He really just wants the best for everybody. Super resourceful. And he's a character. It's great. I just really enjoyed reading anything about him. I also really liked, as I was kind of saying before, I really liked the final outcome of the search for the grandmother. I liked the twist that came with it. As much as I was building up these ideas in my head, I didn't know what that final thing was going to be. I also really liked that there were intense moments in this with the battle and the war that was brewing in the background. There are a lot of moments that really just were great. And just learning more about the world. This one really builds on that world itself, and you're not stuck in one place. But that's all I got for you. I hope you enjoyed it.